Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week's episode is yet another fan favorite. It is a Quit Your Day Job episode. In this series is where we interview current members of the Artist Academy to discuss exactly how they are going through the process or have recently gone through the process of quitting their day job in order to pursue art full-time. Making that leap into full-time creativity after spending years working for someone else can be a roller coaster of emotions, but for Summer Paradiso, she is handling it with supreme optimism. And I'm so excited for you to hear this episode, especially if you're around that tipping point or wanting to make art full time. I think this is going to be really inspiring for you. Summer has joined the Artist Academy. She's been a member for about a year and a half now. And she started just by absorbing all of the art and business content and not necessarily jumping in to take action. She just started and watched all the videos and just to get a full understanding of what exactly it would take to take action, to sell her art and then promote her art business to the point of eventually supporting her family with a paintbrush. With 2 toddlers at her side and a full-time teaching position to fill her day, Summer made some free time in the early morning hours. I'm talking like 4 a.m. to devote to commissions and growing her art business. So listen as she shares what the journey has been like so far in terms of what she's temporarily giving up in order to gain a brand new life with flexibility, more family time, and to be able to create meaningful art for her newfound customers. So let me know what you think about this very inspirational Quit Your Day Job series with Summer Paradiso. Summer, how are you? Tell us about everything that you're going through right now and all the fun and crazy things.
Well, I am currently a teacher in a high school. I'm an art teacher. However, I have put in my resignation letter to be finished at the end of the school year, June 14th. So I will be a full-time artist. I am doing everything from pet portraits, live wedding painting, wedding portraits, family portraits, illustration, murals, mock-ups for other artists. I think that's everything for now.
Yeah, you're just kind of doing anything. You're mostly trying all the different things to figure out what you like, or you like doing a variety of things, or what's your favorite?
I guess I should have given like a bit of background. So like I have been an artist my whole life and I like doing lots of different types of artwork. And so it's fun to have my hand in a lot of different things at one time. I don't ever like to focus too much on one thing. So the thing I'm trying out right now is illustration. That's really, really new for me, but I just kind of jumped in face first to give it a whirl and now have 4 contracts in the works for books. So we'll see how that goes, but it's really fun. I'm doing those all digital on Procreate. But as far as doing like portraits and painting and whatnot is not new for me, but selling my work is fairly new because I didn't start selling my artwork until probably like 2019. And that was like a super slow roll, just kind of like oh, look at the picture I drew. Do you want it? Kind of deal, like not really trying to sell. So I would say it's picked up the past year quite a bit. And then the past 6 months, like crazy fast.
Okay. So it's been slow and then you've just hit a momentum here lately. I've noticed you have a lot of things on the books and you're doing a lot of things. So how are you juggling that with also being a full-time teacher and a mom?
I don't even know if there's juggling. I think I just have like 1,000 balls laying on me at one time. So it was kind of a slow roll because I was a teacher and then I had my daughter and then 16 months later I had my son. So I didn't really have an option to go full force because kids slow things down whether you want them to or not. So once my son, so he's 1 now. So fall of last year when he was like 8 months, I could, he's a little bit more independent. I could start having people watch him and stuff. I was able to just start putting myself out there more and just kind of getting more confidence to be able to put myself out there. The real Kickstarter was, listen up, peeps, the January challenge. What literally, no joke. Cause I was like, okay, you know what? I want to try and draw some animals because I don't really draw them that much. Maybe I'll give it a whirl. I don't think I'll be interested, but let's just draw a pet a day. And then I was like, well, I should probably like try to get paid while I'm doing this. If I'm going to draw a pet a day, might as well. And so I just went on Instagram and I was like, hey, who wants me to draw their pet for $15? That was $15. They were just little 5x7s, but I finished them in like 20 minutes. But anyway, I booked out. People lost their minds, and I was like, I was not ready for this. And so I had like sticky notes everywhere with people's names and pets on them. So I was like, okay, I got to get a spreadsheet down. But I booked out. The January challenge went through mid-February for me, doing a pet a day. But I posted a pet a day. People loved it. And then people wanted to keep booking. So I was like, okay, let's raise price. So I went to $25, which is still not anything. But again, these took me like 20 minutes to do. So I was like, that's super. I'll just knock this out. I'm not like I'm like whenever you're like, is it good enough? Is it done? That's like, that resonates with me. I'm like, it's done. I'm not doing individual hairs on a dog. Like, no way. So 25, I mean, that got people more and more into it. And then I started being like, okay, well, I want to really start booking some weddings. And so I just started putting myself out there more and putting my artwork out there. And then people are like, oh, do you do this? Oh, do you do this? So then it just started kind of snowballing from there. And then weddings in the fall, I connected with, they're like an event rental company, and they do a lot of high end, like they're fancy, like high end rentals for weddings. And so they had a holiday party in December, and all the people that go to their holiday party are wedding vendors. So caterers, wedding planners, DJs, like anyone in the wedding industry in my local area was at this holiday party. So I painted watercolor portraits at this holiday party for them to like take home, and everyone lost their minds over it. And I was like, I didn't think it was that cool, but they were all excited about it. And so then I have all these wedding planners who were like, oh, I'm going to tell my brides about you. And so I started booking weddings from that. And then I figured out some prices. I had no idea what to charge. I just kind of like made a sheet and looked at what other wedding people were charging. And I just kind of made up some numbers and put it in Canva and went for that. It's like a method to madness for that. I've literally just been kind of figuring out numbers, like just throwing prices and hoping for the best and then realizing if it feels worth it or not after the fact.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of been my method so far. But I feel good about my wedding prices now. I realize I've just gone kind of all over the map, but I feel good about my wedding prices now because I've kind of broken it down to be, it's about $100 an hour to live paint. And then anything in studio goes down to about $60 an hour. Anything in studio that I have to finish later.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So where are you finding the time to do this?
I wake up at 4 a.m. because so I have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I wake up at 4 to 4:30. Yeah. I've always been a morning person, but that's a pretty jarring time. And then I work until about 6 or 6:30, depending on how fast I want to get ready that day. I'm out the door by 6:40. Like I put on some clothes and like wing it eyeliner, like go for it. And then I'm out the door, and then I teach from 7 to 2. I get home at 2:30-ish. If I'm like rushing, it's like between 2:30, 2:45. And then I'll work until 3:45. Then I go pick up my kids, and then I have my kids until they go to bed between 7 and 8. And that is always a toss up. And then I work from about 8 to 9:30, and then I go to bed. I don't know that I would recommend this lifestyle to anyone else, but I know it's temporary right now. So I'm doing it because I know that it's pushing my business forward and people are learning my name and reaching out. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to wake up and do all of the things. I don't ever like roll out of bed and be like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like I'm excited to paint people's pets or paint people's weddings or illustrate something for a book, like, or do a mock-up for a mural. Like I get excited about all of those things. So I think the second that I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, that maybe I will change something.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. First off, kudos to you because I have a 1.5-year-old. So I'm like, oh gosh, two is whoa. And just doing everything you're doing, because I get so many calls from people. And when I'm on student calls and they're asking me how to do this, I refer to you a lot lately. Like, well, Summer gets up at 4 o'clock or 4:30 and does what she's got to do. And like, so I run that idea by him. And I too will cringe a little bit at that because I'm like, oh, that's so early, but you're doing what you have to do and it's only temporary. And so I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day right now while you're still in this hustle mode, but it's about to change in a month. You're going to be completely on your own and you have stuff booked out. Yeah.
Yeah. So much that I am no longer taking commissions right now. I'm booked to the brim and I have some collections and some ideas for like individual stuff that I want to do. So I want time to be able to sit with that this summer. So no commissions. I have a waiting list. I have a waiting list.
Cool.
What? I have a waiting list. I mean, hopefully they're like, I'll reach back out to them. Told them like late August. So hopefully they're still there. But as of right now, I have a waiting list and I'll kind of pick that back up for fall, I think, for fourth quarter, like doing a lot of commissions then. But in the summer, I want to focus on murals. And so far I was trying to do like one mural a week. So as of right now, I have the summer booked out. If I want to do another mural, then I can like pop them in there somewhere. But I really want to make some time for the individual collections that I have while that like energy is fresh. Otherwise if I have the momentum for something, I need to do it. If I don't, then it's like, it just falls to the wayside. So yeah, but yeah, I'm booked out. I need to charge more. I still have a hard time. The mural calculator has been a lifesaver because that is always like a way for me to double check like where my head is at with something. So that's kind of been the way that I've been pricing murals, is just using the mural calculator so that I don't have to get my emotions in the way and be like, oh, well, I know them. Like it just is like, this is the price. And I tell them, I'm like, I have a mural calculator. This is what it is. So it's kind of like validation for them too, because people have no idea how much stuff is. And like, even like being on Thumbtack for illustrations and someone reaches out and they're like, oh, I thought it'd only be like $20. I was like, it's $30 for this lead. Like, it's obviously like, let me educate you a little bit. It takes me 4 hours to do this for you and do a good job. Like, how much would you pay someone to do per hour? And they're like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. So I think people just don't know. And I'm really open. I'm like, this is going to take me X amount of time. And this is how much I'm going to charge per hour. And I have 2 kids and I'm really good at it. Like, and I'm going to do a good job. So take it or leave it. I've kind of just developed that attitude and people seem to respond to that better than like oh, will you take this much or, that kind of thing.
I love it. Just putting it all out there. You're like, this is how much time I have. This is when I can get it back to you. By the way, I'm going to do a really good job. So, which is reassurance and confidence. Yeah. And okay. Yeah. I love that you're using the mural calculator in that way. Love it because that's why I made it. I was like, well, in my head, I was like, I do the same thing. I go back and forth on price sometimes. So I just put it in there and I'm like, well, this is what the calculator says. So here you go. It's sorry, not me. This is what the standard is. So.
Yeah. No, I think it's so helpful because it just, a lot of people are very data driven, and that's something that someone who's more married to numbers can relate to. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, they're like fun, maybe this much. And then I'm doing it for pennies. Like, I can't do that anymore. No. And it's also like, I've been reading a lot of books about like money is an energy exchange. And I try really hard with my paintings, like my pet portraits. Especially for like pets who have passed away, like I'm not just replicating a picture. Like, I ask people to give me a write-up about their pet. Like, what were their favorite toys, treats, were they a lap pet? Like, what did they do for fun? And so it really helps me get to know the pet while I'm painting them. And so if I'm putting forth a lot of emotional effort, and so it's okay for me to be compensated for that. I don't have to go above and beyond and not be compensated because I'm doing a good job. I'm giving 100%. So that confidence is a very new thing as far as like for payment. Like, I've always been confident in my artwork, but being confident that the payment exchange is okay is a newer development for me.
Yeah.
So the mural calculator definitely helps with that.
Good. Yeah. And I think all of these your emotions are justified going through all of this stuff. It's so new but it's so exciting. I've it's so fun to hear that you think it's exciting still to do a mock-up and stuff. It's because like sometimes I get excited and then sometimes I'm like, I just need to do this. Okay. Like, so I love talking to people who are like still excited to do it. So, cause I have a couple of projects where like as soon as the baby goes to bed, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work on it for a little bit. Is that kind of how you feel right now? It's like you wake up and like the excitement kind of helps you a little bit.
Oh, for sure. It brings me joy to be able to, like, that's part of like why I'm doing this. Like, it's not that I just like painting, it's that I get to paint a mural at this vet office and make it more homey so that when people come in with their pets who are sick, they get to see the mural and smile. Like, or I get to do this nursery mural and this little kid is going to grow up with this image on their wall and like remember this and tell other people about it. Like, I get to be a part of people's lives. It's really special to be let into people's lives to paint these things or paint a deceased pet or a person. And so I just feel really honored that I get to do it. So I get very excited that and just grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to do these things, and the fact that it's fun. Like, I mean, I enjoy it, and I enjoy emailing people. I enjoy talking to clients on the phone because I'm pretty extroverted. So that kind of works out nicely. Numbers kind of scare me, but you just got to kind of push through it.
Yeah. I forget about sometimes the emotional part of it. 'Cause I'm not typically that emotional in the way. But it is a memory thing. So they are going to see this every day. And it's almost like you get it implanted into your memory. Like if even when you don't live there anymore, or you don't go to whatever building, I can still see it in my mind. Like there was this mural in my elementary school of all the Disney characters that some high schoolers did. And I can picture Pocahontas's face and exactly where it was and like all the things. And I loved looking at that. And so, yeah, you're creating a solid memory for someone with these images that you do. And so I need a reminder of that. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, these are like core memories. Like, people are going to remember this and tell, like, you're creating stories that people are going to share with their family and people who aren't even born yet. Like, oh, I remember, like, you're going to tell your son about that Pocahontas on the wall. And he's like, so that artist has now affected like how many people just based off of that. To know that is what I'm doing is really cool, and definitely is a way to like jump out of bed at 4 a.m. for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So just to recap your timeline. So 5 years ago, you started selling your art a little bit here and there. And then it just and then about 6 months ago, so the start of the year with the January Paint Challenge is when it started to take off. And then you've gotten super busy. And so did you have a goal like a while ago of like, I want to quit my day job and go full time during this time? Or did it just kind of happen?
Well, so it was kind of weird because I was teaching when I got pregnant with my daughter, and I made the choice, and that was right after COVID. And so I taught all through COVID. I didn't get as stressed out as everyone else. Like, it was fine. Like, we did art in line. We just made it happen. But at the end of that, I got pregnant, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay home with my daughter. So that choice was kind of made for me, quitting my day job there to stay home with my daughter. I had kind of planned on coming back, doing art full time. Like, no one ever told me I couldn't do it, but it just never resonated as an opportunity. It just seemed like, oh, that's Summer's hobby. Summer's painting again, whatever. So it didn't really occur to me until I found, I don't even remember how I found you. It was either on Instagram or something, but I was like, oh, this is cool. And I had done a couple murals because we have a really big art community where I'm at. And I'm so fortunate to be in this art community. We have it's called the Vibe District. And so they have a mural festival every year. There's all sorts of opportunities to like paint parking meters and parking spots. So I had kind of dipped my toe into that community and been able to do some things. But then I found Artist Academy, and that's when I got pregnant with my son. So I was like, well, shoot, I can't really go full-time anything now. I'm just going to be full-time taking care of 2 under 2 because he was a happy tree surprise, like happy accident moment. But so going full time didn't occur to me until after I had him, and I had been just lurking in Artist Academy. Because remember, I messaged you and I was like, dude, should I get this? Like, I'm about to have a kid. And you're like, well, you can, or you can go full force, like whatever. So I just kind of lurked around, like nursing at 3 a.m., watching Artist Academy things. Like, this is cool. I can't do any of this yet, but
I remember that. I'm glad you say
yeah,
that. Yeah, because I was like,
yeah.
or you could just like watch videos and not, or yeah.
Yeah, well, you were like, well, a lot of people want to like go full force, so you might want to wait. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to do it. And so I jumped in and I was just watching videos and just kind of creeping around, watching what other people were doing. And I was like, okay, this is actually a possibility.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, this really is cool. But I went back to teaching. That's kind of a longer story, but my husband had lost his job. We were like, shoot, we need insurance. That's important. So I went back to teaching. It was a completely serendipitous moment where the old school that I taught at had a full-time art position open. So I went back this past January and I was like feeling a little bit deflated, like, oh, I wanted to go full-time, but we really need the money. So that was kind of like a money mindset, working from like a lack money mindset where I was like, okay, well, I have to have this solid job because I don't know how much I can make going full time. But then after the January challenge, and I was like, people want my art. I literally have no limit. I can do whatever I want. And so I'm on Thumbtack. I'm posting on Facebook. I'm posting on Instagram. Have people asking, and I've like by the end of May, I will have matched how much I've made at school. So I was like, why am I teaching still? Like, I love teaching, but I'm like, I don't need this. I can do so much more outside of school. So I've kind of been back and forth because I was like teaching and then not, and then back. And then now I'm like, I'm done. I'm not teaching anymore. It's going to be great. I don't ever have to go back. So
Very cool. Oh, this is such a
yeah.
fun time. What are you going to do with all the free time? That is not, well,
I don't know about that. Well, the kids, I'm really excited because I get mornings back with the kids, which
yeah.
is, I think this like a really beautiful thing with entrepreneurship is you get to kind of create your own schedule. And so I get mornings back with the kids because my husband is a saint and he is so supportive with everything. So that should be noted. And like me being able to do a lot, he backs me up, supports me in every endeavor. He's watching the kids when I'm at weddings on weekends and stuff. But with my schedule over the summer, they'll be in daycare 4 days as opposed to for the full week. So I'll have an extra day with them and I'll be able to have mornings with them again. But I will have a full schedule because I have 4 books that I'll be illustrating. I have my collections that I want to do. I'll have at least 1 mural a week. So there will be no free time, but I am going to schedule in my like 1 hour of fitness a day because I used to be a yoga teacher and fitness instructor, and that's kind of gone by the wayside. And that self-care bit is like really important. So that will be scheduled in as well as like part of my day so that I'm not slowly withering away on the self-care side of things.
That's so smart. I'm so happy for you. And it's just, but even just to look at the big picture, you're doing some things now that you probably, you're skipping out on mornings and you don't do the things that you really want, but the goal is there. Like it's in a month, it's going to be pretty ideal. I mean, there's still a lot of work into it, whatnot. And then it's just, I'm excited because I've just seeing your progress in the last 6 months. I'm excited to see where you're going to be even in a year from now and how much your prices have raised even by then and what you're going to be doing more. So like if you're going to be, do you think you like books or do you think you like the wedding painting more or what's your favorite thing to do?
It's so hard to choose because I think I'll probably pare back on the wedding painting just because it's more time away from family. And because those, if I have to stay overnight, like if it's more than a 2-hour drive, then I need to stay overnight, mainly because weddings end at like 11 and I'm old and tired. And so I cannot drive. I will fall asleep at the wheel. So anyway, don't do that, kids.
Yeah.
Fall asleep at the wheel, but don't try this at home. But so I need to stay if it's further than 2 hours away. And so that's just more time away from my family. And right now, being able to move into this entrepreneurial world, I want more time. So I really like wedding painting, but I know that will probably be something that like takes a step back. So far, illustrating's been really fun, but again, I'm at like the very beginning stages, like character development, storyboard type thing with people. But I think I for sure want to do my own. I know you're doing that too, but I for sure want to do my own kids book as well because it's fun to create stuff for other people, but it's even more fun to create for yourself. So that will probably be on the forefront as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've started mine and then I've gotten stuck with his face, like the character's face for a little bit. And I've just put it, I haven't touched it in like 2 months. I'm like, dang it. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
But okay. Do you have any questions about where you're at, where you're going? Do you need help with anything?
Well, so I'm all over the map, but I did write some questions down. I was
Yeah.
thinking if I had 2 to 4 hours a week, and it might be more later, but if I'm focusing my energy on, and this is for like what you've been doing, like Instagram, Facebook, in person, cold call, cold email, what is going to get the biggest return on investment, like time wise and money wise, with big businesses?
Oh, big businesses.
Yeah.
I think going into the Facebook groups is the biggest thing. Going into like your local groups and posting things. There's one where like there's a Springfield Foodies group where all the restaurant owners hang out, like places like that, and going in and contributing. And even if you do a sketch or anything with food related at all, and like or you do a window painting with, so also window painting is a big one, not necessarily right now, but something to look out if you want to do window painting. That's a really good in for bigger businesses. And just go up to those big businesses and be like, hi, I'm going to paint your windows, and give them the pitch with the flyer and stuff like that. It just like, it's a really good in to possibly do their logo or a mural when they want to, or get the conversation started. That's a good one. And doing those around October would be a good time to do window painting. But right now, there's just a lot of little local groups, like a Springfield, I think it's called I Love Springfield from where I live, or like you have your own ones, and just posting what you've done in there, just saying, not even in a promotional way, of just like any kind of mural, any kind of thing. And then Thumbtack, if you want more of is that how you've gotten the illustration jobs, is Thumbtack?
So those were Thumbtack, but I had to turn off my availability because, so like murals has been fine, so I keep my availability there. But the illustration, the amount of people who want, if anyone wants to do illustration, there's plenty of illustration jobs. The one thing though is that with Thumbtack, I would say 50% of the illustration, like people who are posting who want it, don't actually know what they want or how much illustration costs. So what I did is I turned off my availability and then would like kind of comb through, because you can still look at the opportunities. So I would like kind of comb through opportunities and I'll reach out to people that way. But yeah, all four, maybe five, I'm kind of waiting for that person to get back to me. But books came from Thumbtack, which is cool. But murals, I haven't gotten any big businesses for murals. I've gotten a couple small things. And then this guy who wants me to paint his smoker food truck thing.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. And I'm a vegetarian and he wants me to draw all of the meats, and he's like, just paint all the meats. And I was like, tell me what meats you want, because I haven't eaten meat for like 14 years.
Wow.
So I'm just kind of like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll paint a chicken with a spatula. I don't know. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes, because that's a whole other heat resistant paint situation that will be new for me. So
yeah, for sure. And that would be a perfect one to like post your process, even in those Facebook groups with the foodies, or any business. So I also, LinkedIn is a pretty good one lately. Like I get a lot of people anytime I go to bigger business events, like charity fundraisers where people who have deeper pockets. They're always like, I follow you on LinkedIn. Like I get more LinkedIn people from there. So are you posting on LinkedIn?
I have dabbled. I've probably posted just a few times in the past few months, just because there's a lot of things. And I think I was kind of like, I don't feel like LinkedIn people care about a nursery mural or pet portraits. I think they're going to care more about like, I did this big logo or something like that. So I guess kind of figuring out what to post on there has been among the 7,000 other things. But
yeah, I'm
on LinkedIn, but that is a good thing I guess I could get back into.
Yeah, I just like repost everything really. But yeah, there's definitely content that does way better. But yeah, so Facebook groups, LinkedIn's a good one to start. Window painting, those ones are probably where I would start. If there's any kind of like business to business group around you, I think that would be I've heard a lot of good things come from those. There's like a BNI group or any kind of business to business group. Like I think it would be good to try out for a year maybe. So maybe not like super long term, but a lot of the business groups that you might see typically, if you want to ask beforehand, typically they only allow like one of each profession in the group. So you would be the artist.
Oh, I remember listening to this, and we were talking about this in one of the lives, right?
Meetups, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Grace did that, and she got a lot of stuff over the Christmas time with that. And then there's a couple others, and it's just beneficial in other ways of like they recommend you to people. Typically, they try to like all the people in the business group try to use each other.
Well, I got it. Yeah, because I got to cool it with the mom groups because I think I'm going to get banned pretty soon. Because I'm always like, hey, look at this mural that I did. Oh, look, what color should I choose for this? And I've gotten a lot of jobs from posting in the moms groups,
Cool.
but those are all like nursery things. And actually, I did get a business one, but it was like it's a smaller dance studio, which is really cool. But I guess I'm just trying to think for later down the line, so I'm not, working a bajillion hours a day. Where can I find joy, but also get the biggest bang for my buck for my time away from family?
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, a lot of the times with the bigger businesses, it's sometimes like it's a lot of businesses recommend other businesses. So getting in with a couple of them, sometimes it's just like it dominoes like that. I've found. Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for that.
You're killing it. I have no doubt that you're going to do exactly what you want. So
yeah, that's kind of the goal. It's just to keep going. So
yeah,
I'm having fun though too. I think it doesn't need to be stressful. Like let's just go paint some shit and have a good time. Do you have to bleep that out? Sorry.
No.
But for real though, like
it's good. We can keep it in. It's fine.
We can keep it in.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to like keep myself together at school all day. So then I come home and I'm like, blah, blah, blah. My toddlers are going to like, I don't even censor around my toddlers. Like who knows what they're going to say, but it's fine. It'll be fine.
I love it. Yeah, it's fine. I love how you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to do it. I think that's kind of like a mom trait, or just, I don't know, a trait of somebody who doesn't worry a whole lot. There's like, I'm just going to do it. It's fine. Like things are going to work out. And I think you have that in general. I mean, there's always like those thoughts that come in and you're like, oh shit, what, why? But it's going to work out. Yeah. And it is working out. And like, I think there's so much momentum builds off of momentum, and you're in this momentous state and it's just going to keep going. So
yeah. I'll say one thing where it was like a crap, I didn't think this through, was I just did a wedding in North Carolina, and it's not bug season up here yet, but it's bug season down there. So I was eaten alive by bugs while I was painting outside. And I was like, okay, bug spray. Let's do that next time. Not a huge fail, but not an ideal situation. So
yeah,
anyone wedding painting, bug spray is a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on a mural one time in Iowa and I was like, there were flies everywhere. And by the end of it, I was like, if I hear one more beside me, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, it's so funny. Things like that, especially being as a muralist, I'm like, this is so not what you would expect an artiste to have to deal with. It's like mud on the ladder and like all this stuff. But yeah. Well, do you have any other questions?
I had one just for you, just because it would be fun. I feel like I know the answer. It was, is there any surface that you would say absolutely no to, regardless of dollar sign? And I feel like I know the answer, but is there always a dollar sign, like just a minimum that they would have to pay? Or is there a surface that you're like, nope, I don't do that anymore?
I'll do a lot of things for enough money. So
okay. But that was what I thought.
Corrugated metal, obviously. It's like the worst. It just depends on what it is. I think but yeah, no, like letters on corrugated metal, I can just, if I would never do any of that again, that'd be great. Yeah.
I'll save myself the trouble.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not fun. Okay, cool. Well, it's been great chatting with you. And I think this is going to be a very relatable and inspiring episode for people to listen to who are going through it or about to go through it or almost near the end of it like you are. And yeah, I mean, near the end of like, I'd say like the really, really hard part, there's always, hills of hardness or toughness, I guess, as you go through it, but you're in one of them right now and you have such a good attitude about it. And you're going to do great. So I'm excited to see where you're at in a year.
Yeah. And I'm excited. I think about future Summer and her looking back and be like, you know what? It was worth waking up at 4. And that was time put in, was well spent. So I'm excited to get there, but also excited to just be here right now.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. Just enjoying the ride. Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Summer. And yeah, I'll see you inside the Academy. Please post anything that you do. We love to see photos and stuff that you're doing and like prices and all the things in the group. So yeah, I love having you part of the group. So
Yay. Thank you. It's
Yay.
an honor to be a part of the group.
Yay. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. If you like this art and business talk in audio form, then I want to invite you to get my book. It's called Mural Money: How to Grow Your Art Business from Zero to Six Figures. So starting from the very bottom, like you don't even have a website yet. You have nothing. You're not sure where to go and you want to make money with a paintbrush. You want to have your creativity pay the bills. I have taken so much of the advice that I've gotten from artists from this podcast. I've been doing one episode for over 5 years now. So many interviews, so many good bits of advice. So I've taken the best of that advice and put it in my book, along with so many stories and lessons learned that I've had in my own mural career of just how I would go back and save a whole lot of time if I just knew these steps. It's a 15-hour audiobook. And so if you like this podcast, if you're listening to interview after interview, I know that you're going to like the book. So go to muralmoney.com. It's for anybody who wants to grow their art business with a paintbrush. Muralmoney.com. And I will see you next week for another episode of the Artist Academy podcast.